coupled with pushback by Ms. Hayes saying, I want to do both, that you allowed her pushback to be the stronger voice, and that you allowed lines to be blurred in your administration that allowed her to use her position to get paid work that benefited your household and a member of your household. Can you, is there something that I'm misunderstanding
Well,
there?
could you give me some specifics? I can't respond to something.
Sure, I'm talking about the, for example, the First Lady protocol.
Mhm.
It's on page 48 of the investigation, which is 110. This is in page 47, 48, 109, 110. This is the First Lady protocol that I understand your Chief of Staff put together.
Mhm.
And he tried to put a sharper line between Ms. Hayes's paid work and her volunteer work as the First Lady and as a policy advisor.
Mhm.
On page 109, and it's listed as PR9, which I guess is the record number.
Just a moment here.
It's under,
What's the page number?
well, it says Kitzhaber investigation, page 47, and it's
47.
109 in our packet.
Well, I've got page 47, but I don't think it's, oh yeah, here it is, okay, so is there?
Okay, so under policy advocacy on the
Yes,
bottom.
yes, I'm here. Mhm.
This is where one of your policy advisors said that policy advisors are the owners of the policy agenda for
Mhm.
all aspects of the governor's office. Sylvia's primary role is to be a spokesperson and advocate, and she pushed back, saying, I need to be more than just a mouthpiece. I need to feel like a co-author. And then on the next page, you responded by saying, Sylvia needs to, you pushed back on your own staff and said she needs to play a role in policy development. And then further down, it says, one important point is that Sylvia needs to be advocating the same clean economy policy in her role as spokesperson and her role as a clean economy fellow, for which she was being paid. Cannot be any day, you don't say in there for which she was being paid, I'm adding that, because it's a fact that you knew at the time. There cannot be any daylight between them, but this is another reason why she needs a role in developing the policy itself. To me, that is a pushback on your staff's attempt to say, please, Governor, let there be a line, a stronger line, between what Ms. Hayes is doing in her paid work and what you have put her in as a policy advisor in her public role. And to me, that's troubling, because although I believe that you weren't trying to make more money for yourself, when faced with pushback by Ms. Hayes versus pushback by your own staff, you went with her pushback.
Well, I give you context because I don't actually agree with that. The issue really had to do with, in particular, this conversation was about the clean economy. And we didn't have so I had a energy policy advisor, I had a economy policy advisor, I had a natural resource policy advisor, I have a transportation policy advisor. All of those individuals have a piece of clean, low-carbon economic development. So we were in the process of developing that policy. I felt that this is an area she'd worked in for a long time and actually had something to add, and I wanted to make sure that if she was going to be working for people who are advocating the same things, she was advocating the policy of my administration, not that I think it might have been the CEDC thing, I can't remember, not that they were going to come in and develop this policy, but this was an area. Now I can admit this is a blurred area, there's no question about it, but this was not an effort to push back on my staff and say she should have a larger role. This was an area where she had legitimate expertise. She was the co-chair of Governor Kulongoski's Renewable Energy Task Force, and I felt that was an area where she could add some value, with the caveat that there could be no daylight between, once we develop a policy, that's the policy she had to advocate.
It reads to me like you're saying staff, Sylvia's policy is the policy our government needs to advocate.
Well,
And
I know
there
that's
can be no
in the
daylight.
paper, but that's clearly not the fact.
Well, you're
And-
speaking to her.
And if I might add, we ran this by legal counsel. If you go to the end of this, I asked legal counsel to review this.
Well, it's a memo to your staff, not to CDC, saying they need to get with the program. You're saying, staff, you need to get with the program and let her create the program. which is an area in which she was getting paid.
It actually-
That's the point. To me, it's not that, you had every right to say, I think that she is, got great value add and I want to put her in as a policy person. That was your choice.
Mhm.
And if it upset your staff, so be it, you had to deal with that. That's not the ethical issue. To me, it's that it was on an area that she was being privately paid. So that's where I see the pushback that she's making, and I see your staff pushing the other way. And from what this is to your staff,
Mhm.
saying, let her form the policy. And because she's being privately paid for that, that's where the ethical violation occurs in my head. If she wasn't being paid, it's either two ways. She can get paid for work that you're both interested in, but you don't give her any role. There's a clear line. You stay away from no public role in that, because you're getting paid for that. Go do it. I love what you're working on. We both agree on it. Get paid, but let's make sure we have a clear line. Or you can say, come be my advisor on this stuff we both love, but don't get paid for it. But this is a blending, and that blurred line was something that you permitted to happen.
So may I respond?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so you certainly can interpret this, you get to interpret it any way you want, as does the rest of the commission. As I said at the very beginning, I recognized that there was a policy challenge, and I was trying to accomplish two things. I was trying to give her the opportunity to provide areas of input to my administration where she clearly had value and expertise, and figuring out how she could continue to do her professional work. This was a work document, had several iterations, I'm sure you've seen the various iterations, on how to create sideboards for her. And one of the issues that we addressed policy, we addressed policy advocacy, we addressed communication media and ethics. But the question was, if she's going to give input on policy, what does that look like? And the point I was making was that if she was going to give input on policy, and that's all it was, input, because my policy advisors were ultimately the beginning and ending of our policy, then she had to accept whatever policy we finally came up with, and she couldn't advocate for anything different. And I knew she was obviously working for CEDC. I knew that from the beginning. This was an effort to, as I mentioned, one of the sideboards we tried to develop in order to create sort of a context of how we could monitor what she could and what she couldn't do. And in my view, she could provide input on policy, which I've acknowledged from day one and several times here today. But she couldn't differ. She couldn't, if she was going to be a messenger or a spokesperson, it had to be for the policies that we'd already adopted in our administration, and that's where the no daylight comment comes in.